Today we are going to be building a charcuterie board from Aldi, and the goal for all these boards is to keep it under $50. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at see what they have today and do some shopping. Let's go.
King of the road, trailer for sailoring. Man, trailer for sailoring. Ain't got no cigarettes left.
Hello, so we are back in my house and we are going to be putting together this Aldi charcuterie board. And overall, I don't shop at Aldi often, but we do have a couple. They're just a little bit further from our house than some of the other grocery stores. And I actually really love Aldi for certain things, but I would say it was a little bit more difficult than my last board, which I made at Trader Joe's, to find charcuterie board ingredients. Now they have lots of cheeses, or a moderate amount of cheeses and some meats and stuff like that, but it just takes a little bit more work. There is definitely enough in an Aldi to find amazing charcuterie board ingredients. It's just a matter of looking through what they have and giving yourself a little extra time. So with that said, let me show you what I made, or what I've got. So I've got 2 crackers. I've got a garden vegetable cracker right here, and I have pita crackers. So those are going to be my grains, my building blocks for my charcuterie board today. And overall, I would say I ended up with a lot of sweet ingredients, not as many salty. So I have 3 different types of cheeses. And overall, I think the cheese selection was pretty good, and it was a really good price. So that's what I really do like about Aldi, is that if you're making a board for under $50, you have plenty of options. So cheese, we've got a camembert, a cranberry cinnamon goat cheese, and this just sounded good, but it also was very pretty, and I wanted something, my board's going to be very red, so I wanted some red to go on the board as well. And so I've got this cheese as well. Okay, and then I have 3 different types of berries that are going to go on my board today, all kind of within the same color scheme. So I've got some strawberries, we've got raspberries, and then I've got blackberries. So 3 different berries are going to add that kind of sweetness to the board itself. And then I spent a while looking at the different meat selections. I ended up getting a kit here that has 3 different types of salamis. So I'm not going to have any prosciutto on this board, but this is got some classic salami, herbs and spices, and then a black pepper salami. And then just to round it out, I've got 2 more things on the board. I've got honey nut mix with lots of nuts in there. And again, I decided to stick a little bit sweeter instead of salty. And then finally, I'm going to throw in some hazelnut cookies just to add some chocolate and really bring home the sweetness. So let's go ahead and get started, and let's put this board together. So for today's board, I'm going to be using this. It is a detox board. You can actually order them, and they are disposable, and they're made completely sustainable. And I've got a whole bunch of different sizes, so I'm excited to try. This is one of their bigger boards here, but it's great if you are having a party and you just want to be able to have this kind of in the fridge and then get rid of it when you're done. And you can feel really good about it because it's made all sustainably. So it's pretty cool. I'll put a link of that to where you can get these in the description.
So to get started, I'm going to make my charcuterie meat roses first. And I have a whole video on how to do this, but I'm basically going to put the salami around the top of a champagne flute. And I'm just folding it over the edges. And if I do this enough and I go around in a circle, I will then be able to turn this rose onto the board. And this is just kind of a decorative element that can help to ground the board and just make it a little bit fancier. So I like to add these to my boards whenever I can. They're really actually quite easy to make. Just press kind of hard when you put them onto the board. And it's one way to make a little charcuterie meat rose. And then I'm going to put on the other bigger elements. So these are really big crackers, so I wanted to put them on early. And as you build out your board, don't hesitate to go back and change things. I cut my edamame cheese up so that it is in wedges. And there's so many different ways to put wedge cheese on boards. It's kind of fun to play with. And I'm just going to use this to kind of create another little row. So for this board, I am building kind of from one element to the other. I also like to go ahead and put the grounding elements on first, but for this board, I'm doing it a little differently. So for my second type of salami, I'm gonna make a chain of salami. So what you do is you fold it in quarters and then you just put those together. It's a little hard, you gotta keep it in your hand, but you just keep building that chain of salami and putting each one inside the other one and then folding it back over itself. And this is just such a great way to make it easy to grab the salami and then also keep it looking decorative. You can always just lay the salami on the board, but I find that doing one of these folding techniques not only makes your board look more attractive, but also makes it just easier for people to get the salami off the board because the pieces aren't kind of all stuck together. All right, so I'm just trying to create interesting shapes and patterns with this board. And the next thing I'm going to put on is the log of cranberry goat cheese. And this, when I put this on the board, I like to kind of cut it up. One, it kind of encourages people to eat it. It's kind of overwhelming sometimes to cut into a brand new log of cheese, but this just makes it easy for people. And I'm gonna have to have a knife or even a spoon on the board that's gonna help people to pick this up and spread it on their crackers. All right, next we're gonna add in some of these hazelnut cookies. And again, these are such a sweet touch. This is a very sweet board besides the salty meats. And I'm just gonna get creative with how I'm putting out the shapes and designs, and I'm really trying to break up colors here as well. So the raspberries, I was a little disappointed with the raspberries once I opened up the package. They were a couple that weren't good anymore, but I did find enough to put on the board. And then I'm just gonna spread the meats or the nuts in here. The one thing I do like about this board, the detox board, is that it has a little raised edge. So it's just easy to keep all the stuff from sliding around on the board. So I'm gonna go ahead and add another type of salami rose because if you remember back, the package I had was actually 3 different types of meat. So I'm gonna actually put the last salami here and go ahead and make one more salami rose. So one thing I found when I was making this board is I had too many ingredients really to fit on the board. So while I have, a grand total of how much this board cost, I probably could have almost made 2 boards with the amount of ingredients I had. So I put the crackers on the far side, just away from the other crackers, just to break visually up the color of the cracker. And I'm gonna add my brie, my camembert, onto here as well. And again, I cut this up into wedges, and I'm just gonna lay them out. This just makes it so easy for people to grab, and it's just fun for styling. So I'm gonna tuck that in there, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get ready to add a little bit more color to this board. So I'm gonna go ahead and put on my blackberries and my strawberries. And again, I'm visually just looking for where there needs to be a different color. And I'm putting these just on in groups. This is so easy if you have the edges of these boards, like I mentioned a second ago. And you can cut up your strawberries. I often do, but these, I just wanted them to be easy for people to grab. And they're such a bright, vibrant color to add on at the end of your board. And that's it. There is my Aldi charcuterie board. And again, I probably could have made at least one more board that looks just like this with the amount of ingredients and the amount of money I spent. So this was a great board, very easy to put together, and a good option if you are looking to make a board from Aldi.